Okay, so let's kick this off with showing you how to create a simple table here in Notion. I've got a blank page, and to create my simple table, I just need to type that slash command like I would do with anything else and type table. You will notice that databases now have a kind of new name for the table view. It's now a table database, inline or full page, and you will find table, which is the simple table. And you get something that looks a little bit like this. And I have several different options for what I can do here. I can add columns by clicking this plus icon here. I can add rows by clicking this icon here, or I can actually come down here to the bottom right corner and I can click and drag to easily add as many of these columns and rows as I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with 4 columns and several rows here, and then I can start adding in some data. So let's create a list of my favorite games. And as you can see, I can enter my text data like I just did, and I can also use tab to go between the columns and enter to go between the rows. What I can also do is drag my rows and columns around. So I can take a column like this and I can drag it like so, or if I want to reorder my rows, I can do it just like that. I can also create table headers if I want. Most usefully, I can come to this little 6 dot icon and I can create a header row like that. And if I wanted to, I could do the exact same thing with a column and I can have a table looking like this. I don't want a header column, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. What I can also do is use this little fit table to page width button to make this table fit the page width. And what I'm actually going to do is go ahead and delete this and add in a fully filled out table that I made beforehand to show you the last main feature of this simple table block, which is that it accepts rich text formatting. So over here in this notes column, if I wanted to, I could say bold this text right here, or maybe make this text actually have a background by giving it a green background right now. I'm going to go ahead and actually put a comment on this one. And you can also add links. So right here, I might add a link to a YouTube video just by pasting it right there, just like you would with a text block. And you can also add links to other Notion pages. So I've got another Notion page on my other screen here, and I'm gonna go here and actually just paste it in and make it a mention to another page. Perhaps the most interesting thing you can do with this simple table feature is actually turn it into a database. So if you go to the block menu here and click it, we can click this turn into database button, and we're gonna get a nice little database. So if you need more features, you can go ahead and do that. And you're gonna notice that the first column becomes your typical name column, which is the essentially the page for each row. And then all the other columns turn into text properties. You can also turn your database back into a simple table if you want. And I do want to show you one cool trick here. If I go ahead and move this notes column to be first, and then I go and turn this into a database, you'll notice that all of my text formatting, with the exception of the link right here, has basically been deleted. But if I go ahead and turn this back into a simple table, it actually retains that rich text formatting, which is really cool. Now, there are some limitations to the simple table feature right now. I'm guessing some of these will change in the future, but as of right now, the most significant limitation is that you cannot create other blocks inside of these table cells. If I go ahead and type slash like this, nothing is going to happen. The slash menu doesn't come up, and I also can't drag and drop existing blocks into these cells either. They really only accept text right now. Another couple of limitations are, number one, you cannot copy across multiple cells, and you can also not paste multiple cells worth of data into a table from, say, a Google Sheet or another table or database, and you can't sort with the simple table feature in any other way except for dragging and dropping these cells manually. However, for sorting and for pasting and copying across multiple cells, there is indeed a workaround, a cool little trick, and that is going to bring us into the tips and tricks section of this video. Say you want to copy all the data across this table and paste it somewhere else, or you have data in another table and you want to paste it into this table, or you want to sort the data not by having to drag and drop manually. Well, to accomplish literally all of these things, all we need to do is first turn this into a database. Once we have done that, we can accomplish all 3 of those things. I can come and I can create a sort like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and sort by, let's go and sort by type for this one. I can also copy and paste across multiple cells if I use a database. So I can come here and I can select all of these cells, and then I can come down here and make myself yet another table database. It has to be a database at first. And we also need to replicate the properties that are in our original table. So I'm gonna make that game. I'm going to turn this one into text, and I'm going to call it type. And once I have those in place, I can click here and then make sure I'm not inside this cell. I want to just have it selected in blue, and I can paste all of my data across, and then finally come up here and turn this into a simple table. One last cool trick here is that you can add your simple tables into synced blocks, into template blocks, and into even database templates. So just like any other block, you can come and create a synced block if you want, and then you could drag your table into it. And by doing so, you could go ahead and copy and sync this to other pages in your workspace. I've got a whole video on synced blocks, so check that out if you don't know what this feature is all about. And you can also add your tables into database templates. So I want to give you a quick example of how and why you might want to use that. And I'm going to show you a little template I've made for recurring tasks. So I've got this task database right here. And let's just say I want to make a recurring task, but I want to have a log of what I've done each time I've done that task in there. Well, I could go ahead and create a template called task with log, and it's just going to have a simple table inside there. So what that gets us is something like this, where I could mark off my task as done each time I want it to recur. I've got a whole video on recurring tasks in Notion if you're curious about how to do that, but I could write exactly what I did each time I did the task in a simple table.